Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing the GeForce GTX 750 Ti in Resident Evil Village. This one is the point of view version of the card. It comes at stock speeds out of the box, so I overclocked it here to plus 150 MHz on the core clock and plus 300 MHz on the memory clock. These might seem like big overclocks, but if you have a factory OC'd model of this card, it might actually already be faster than this one. So yeah, this one doesn't even have a 6-pin power connector. We're running the latest Nvidia drivers for 66.47, and the test system consists of a Ryzen 9 5900X and 32 GB of RAM, but of course you're gonna get the same FPS with like a Ryzen 3 1200, i5 4460 and 12 GB or maybe even 8 GB of RAM. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, let's go over the settings first, and we're playing it at 1080p at the moment, utilizing the lowest graphics settings in the game. So this is it. I enabled the shadow cache over here, shadow cache. It's enabled because it actually improves the FPS, as you can see by the processing load right there. Everything else is disabled or at the minimum settings, and we're also going to test lower resolutions because the game looks beautiful, but it's getting 14 frames per second. So great. All right, so 1080p is done. It's not playable. Let's move on to the next resolution. All right, I just lowered the resolution to 720p, 1280 by 720. Everything else is still the same. This takes way too long to go through all of it. So yeah, just believe me, everything is still at the lowest setting. And it's still getting pretty bad FPS. Now, the big problem in this game is it doesn't like 2 GB cards, and the 750 Ti being a 2 gig version, at least the one that I have here, there's actually a 4 gig variant of the card. What the? So we're getting 40 FPS now. What happened? Well, I have no idea what happened there. I was thinking that it would only be playable at like 800 by 600, but clearly it is actually playable like this. Right, so 720p low settings is doable with the 750 Ti, guys, to my surprise, and to everybody's surprise, I guess. But why is it doable now? I don't get it. We were getting like 15 FPS, the same as 1080p. Maybe things were still applying from 1080p down to 720, but I really don't get it. This has never happened to me, guys. Just... You bastard! Okay, alright. Yeah, FPS are dropping now again. But it's normal in cutscenes, by the way. It will wreck the animations, though, I believe.
Please, don't hurt us.
Whoa. It's okay.
Yeah, as you can see, her lips are moving, or were moving, and she wasn't really talking. So you don't really want the FPS to drop from 30, definitely, in this game, because it will break some things. Still, I am super impressed that the 750 Ti is doing this, because the 1030, it has slower memory as well, and it was getting worse FPS. I believe it got down to like 18, even 15 frames per second at 720p, maybe lower than that. So this is definitely a VRAM issue here with 2 gig cards, but I'm just really impressed that this actually works pretty well. I was really not expecting that, guys. Oh boy, see the intro into the cutscene, the transition to the cutscene just wrecked our FPS completely. I really don't get this. Okay, skip that. And now we're stuck at 20 frames per second again. Oh, come on. Okay, and now we're back to pretty decent FPS again. So it's very inconsistent, but it's still better than something like a GT 1030, that's for sure. The shadows, though, look at that. That will probably look even worse with the YouTube compression. Oh boy, okay, oh, alright. And we're outside again. So still getting the same FPS. I really don't get this, guys. And finally, we're gonna do like 360p, which is half resolution of 720p. It will look like crap, Look at that. Yeah, pretty bad, guys, but it's achieving 60 frames per second. We definitely didn't see that with the GT 1030, that's for sure. Oh boy. Yeah, cutscene again, but now it's not dropping from 30. I mean, you shouldn't play the game at this resolution, and this is what it takes for you to achieve 30 plus FPS most of the time, not even every time, you know. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We're back to the 20s for some reason. I don't get it. I don't know. The performance is way too inconsistent here with 2 gig cards. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's it, guys. I mean, it could actually be that the game is rendering another part of the map already, because we're gonna get there soon. And that might be what happened earlier as well. Look at that. Yeah. Maybe it just stopped rendering the other part, and now it's rendering in the new part. I don't know. It also happened previously when I switched the resolution from 1080p to 720. It was bad for a second, and then we got into a gate or something, and it was decent. Look at that. We're now getting 100 FPS. Okay, interesting. It's really inconsistent in 2 gig cards, as you can see. So I wouldn't really call this a playable experience. Oh, you can actually get the crowds. All right. Yeah, we're back into the 30s now because of the cutscene, and 40s. I mean, could be worse, right? The 1030 was definitely worse, for example, and the 710 was horrible, completely horrible. But you're gonna wreck the cutscenes pretty much because you're running it at lower than 30 frames. And right now, things should be happening in the screen, and you can't really see it because it's getting 11 FPS. And it's just bad, guys. Can't even skip this. So yeah, skip this game if you have a 750 Ti. Oh, it's doing something now. Of course, they've been talking for a while, and now everything is screwed up. The game recommends as a minimum 4 GB of VRAM. This is what happens with a semi-capable GPU with 2 gigs. This would actually be pretty playable if it wasn't for the 2 gigs of VRAM here. And yeah, sometimes it's playable, sometimes it isn't, so I won't call it a decent experience. Alright, thanks very much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.